Hi everyone, welcome back. So what happened today? Well, Bitcoin went down and stayed down, and it actually went down further, and then it kind of came back up a little bit. Miners did the same thing. They were up in the morning hours, and they came back down towards the afternoon hours, and they kind of came back up to be mostly in the green today. So that was actually pretty good news there. Other than that, all we have to talk about is Cipher. Cipher is coming up with a new offering for 2 billion there. We'll talk about that. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. We'll also talk about Cango as well. They provide their production updates for January. They're the first ones out of the gate here so far. We're 3 days into February as it is right now. We'll look at some Bitcoin things as well. We'll look at what people are talking about Bitcoin possibly being at the bottom here. Is it at the bottom? We got a poll running right now on the conversation here. 87% of you think that it has not bottomed out yet, that we might be going down lower. I hope that's not the case, but maybe that is the case. So we'll keep an eye on that, but we'll talk about that and some other good news stories as well. And after that, we'll get into Q&A and we'll call it a day. Okay. Thank you so much for coming in as always. And let's take a look at what we got going on here. But first, not financial advice for tuning only. Do your own research, full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out as always. And let's take a look at what happened today with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin went down much further than it has in the past here. So look at Bitcoin here. Bitcoin today went down approximately 3.82%. And it closed at 75,661.49 cents. But we did go down much further than that. We were at 72,859 exactly on the dot there. The last time we were this low is going back to, we're going way back here. We're going back to basically November 2024. So what is that now? A year and 3 months, something like that, roughly. That was the last time we were this low, at least on a spike down here on that one. It's even lower than we were back here where we bottomed out in April of last year. And then obviously prior to that, it's going, let's see here, that line right there. Yeah, so I mean, we touched it a couple times here at least, and here as well. So we've touched it 3 times there at this line more or less, at this price point, 72,000, whatever it is. So not great. RSI is really, really low here. It's been this low. It was actually a little bit lower here in April of last year. It was this low as well back in March of 2025 as well, it seems like. And we were, at least on the daily chart, we were close to that back in August of 2024 and also June of 2024, where we kind of bottomed out there at that point as well. Based on the RSI, I'm thinking that we are close to the bottom if we haven't bottomed out already, but only time will tell on that. We do have some, obviously, voices on that as well that think the same thing. We'll see if that actually plays out that way. But Bitcoin, at least today, was down. We're up a little bit here in the new day 4. We're up 1.2% as it is. Ethereum here today was also down. Similar situation happening on that one here. That one was down 4.89%. It closed at $2,230.48 there. Markets were all down today except for the Russell. Russell was up just a little bit, 0.23% on the day. Big moves here in the miners, not many. We had all Bitfarms being in the green, BitDeer down, Cipher being up, Cleanspark up as well, CORZ being down, Hive being up, Hut being up nicely, up 5.06% there. And then we had also Wolf, obviously, with the story that came out yesterday for them about getting the 2 additional sites there, additional megawatts. That thing obviously had a good day today. It was up 10.12%. Some of the other companies here and the Bitcoin treasury companies didn't do so well. They were all in the red here today with Bitcoin coming down here. So MicroStrategy was down 4.56. Galaxy took a beating today, quite a bit there. Was down 17.16%. Others were down 5%, 6%, 1%, 5% on that. Small miners had a mixed review here as well. Any was down. Argo was up just a little bit, and DG Power was up 8.73%. That one did really good here. Mawson continues to slide down there. It was down 13.35% on the day. There's obviously turmoil within that company, as we talked about it yesterday as well. The Bitcoin miner ETFs here, mixed. BitQ was down, BKCH was in the green, DAP was red, WGMI was in the green there. And then the Ethereum holding companies were all in the red, 1%, a little less than 1%, 2%, 4%, and almost a little over 1.5%. Other companies we track here, American Bitcoin was down quite a bit, 5.59%. This thing has gotten the lowest it's been in a long time here. Ever since when was the merger with Griffin there? I'm trying to think when that happened. But that's been a while. I don't think that's the case there for it. So this is probably the new bottom for this one. Wi-Fi was down. Open was up, actually bouncing back up a little bit here after yesterday's. Well, this thing has been going down for quite a while. Like, what has it been, 7, 8 days here? Almost 2 weeks probably at that. It's been coming down. But that one was up actually 6.43%. Oracle was down. Nibius was up. Soluna was up 5.61% there today. Who else do we have here that was down or up quite a bit? Others were down. Amazon was down. Microsoft, Google were all in the red here, along with NVIDIA. Tesla was actually up a little bit here, 0.04%. And EOS was up 2.02%. And New AI bounced here a little bit at 9.08% as it is right now. Now, as far as the miners here in the pre-hours, after hours, let's take a look at those guys here. BitDeer right now is overnight hours is up actually 0.08% here. We got Bitfarms right now is down 2.59% after hours. Then Cipher right now is actually down approximately 2.21%. Then Cango I think doesn't trade after hours it's down 0.42%. CORZ Scientific, let's see where that one's at 11:05. It is 11:05. Overnight hours down 0.79%. Cleanspark here is right now down 0.31% in overnight hours, and Hive is, let's see here, after hours is down 0.41%. Then we got Hut 8. Hut 8 is flat on the overnight hours. IREN IREN's down 1.03%. We get obviously IREN reporting in 2 days. We'll see what that plays out like. And Mara's down 0.28 on overnight hours. And last is Riot here, not least though. Overnight hours is actually up 0.07%. And TeraWolf here was up nicely today, but in the after hours, it is down 1.79% right now. Bitcoin for the month of February here, it's down 3.25%. So this would make it the 5th month that we would be in the red if Bitcoin finishes out the month in the red. This will be the 5th month, which we've never, I don't think, have happened before in Bitcoin's history, where we were down 5 months in a row. 4 months in a row is very, very seldom that that's ever happened before as well. So maybe we're getting close to the bottom there. Bitcoin ETF inflows, outflows here. Today we had obviously outflows of 332 million without BlackRock reporting. Yesterday we had 561 million of inflows. That has definitely changed there quite a bit. We had 4 days of outflows, 1 day of inflows, 1 day again of outflows here. We'll see how this plays out. Now, Bitcoin. Mike Novogratz says live on Bloomberg that Bitcoin bottom is now in. Here we go, possibly going to the upside. Who knows, right? He's been wrong before. Others have been wrong before. Others have been right. We'll see if that actually plays out. But a lot of people are starting to think that the bottom might be in for us, which might not be a good sign there for us. Wolf of Wall Streets here, the BTC Daily. This is where I truly start to pay attention. RSI is very oversold. There is bullish divergence on most time frames, with it building on the 4-hour. Also quite oversold. If we get a daily close below 76,888 without price nuking and pushing RSI lower, we will also have oversold bullish divergence on the daily. This will take days to develop, but this is my favorite bottom signal here potentially. So, right, another person that's seeing that this might be the bottoming out here. And that would be obviously great for us if it does happen to be the case here. Next here we got from Julius here. Bitcoin has never been this undervalued relative to gold. Current valuation negative 2.77. That's lower than during the every bear market and after every black swan event here. So if we look at the chart here, you can see it. Right, it is way down below that. So Bitcoin to gold, liquidity relative value oscillator. And yeah, I mean, it is way, way, way undervalued. And most people's opinions at least. Michael Vendy Pope here. It's important to be realizing that things need to be put into perspective. The ISM manufacturing PMI is heading into the first 50-plus read in more than 3 years. It's been one of the longest bear markets on that regard. Not great for the business cycle and not great for Bitcoin. The fact that Bitcoin rallied is simply and only due to the launch and liquidity of the ETFs, which that might have been the case for it. By now, just now is the moment that the markets start to wake up. Now there's a lot of debate on the fact that PMI stayed positive in previous times and Bitcoin went into a bear market. Yes, for sure, because macroeconomic conditions entirely changed. Last cycle, end of 2021, the Fed decided to start quantitative tightening and heavily increase interest rates. This time, quantitative easing has started as economies slightly getting weaker and decrease of interest rates as well. There's a reason why gold and silver peaked last week, and that's due to the fact of the end of the macroeconomic period of time. In the coming 1 to 3 years, we'll see strong and final bull of Bitcoin and crypto. He's crediting this to Brad Ethereum for the chart there, but you can see here the ISM less or greater than 50, less than 50, right? Or greater than 50, less than 50. Sorry, the red is less than 50. You can see here Bitcoin price as well to the US dollar. And you can see when the ISM is above 50, Bitcoin does tend to do pretty well there. The ISM was below 50 here since 2023. Obviously, Bitcoin also went up at that point, but that might have been due because of the ETF and the impact that that's had here. Now, recently, we just had a spike, obviously, in the ISM above 50 there, which might be a good indicator that maybe we are getting close to the bottom there as well, and then we are going to continue on a bull run here for Bitcoin. Maybe. Time will tell on that one. Last but not least here, Bitcoin 2-week RSI now inside zone where all major cycles bottomed have been found. We showed this chart, similar to this chart, just a couple of days ago, if not yesterday even, where it was just slightly above that. Now we are in that zone where we have bottomed out in the past here as well. And you can see that here on the chart. So maybe we're getting close to it if we haven't already bottomed out as it is. All right, so that's it for that. Let's take a look at the news stories that we do have here. Obviously, the first one at bad is going to be Cipher here. So Cipher came out with the $2 billion of senior secured notes. I was a little surprised by this without actually like another announcement of a deal with somebody. I thought that they did this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they did this already when they signed a deal with Amazon there for the Black Pearl site. I think that was Amazon. Excuse me. To build that out. So I thought they did notes at that time. Now they're doing an additional $2 billion worth of senior secured notes. So I was a little surprised by this. I don't know if you guys were as well or not, but I was for sure. So here's what we got going on, right? They're offering the standard $2 billion of senior secured notes. See, the issuer intends to use the net proceeds of the offering for one, to finance the remaining cost of the Black Pearl facility, a high performance computing data center in Wink, Texas, the Black Pearl facility. Two, to reimburse Cipher approximately $232.5 million for its prior equity contributions to the Cipher Black Pearl LLC, a wholly owned direct subsidiary of the issuer, and used to fund the capital expenditures relating to the Black Pearl facility. And three, to fund debt service reserves. And four, to pay the fees and expenses in connection with the foregoing. Okay, so obviously they need a little bit more cash there to build that out, which is fine. They're obviously going to be getting quite a bit for it in the long run, nonetheless here. So this is, they provide this along with their filing today. But if we go up to the top here, where we probably should start out, right? Black Pearl as of February 2026. Did it say Black Pearl? Yeah, Black Pearl. Okay, I want to make sure I read that right. Transaction overview, right? $5.5 billion of contracted revenue with long-term AWS lease. Yeah, so that was Amazon there. They're obviously developing Black Pearl, 300 gross megawatts, 216 megawatts critical IT load. Leased to Amazon, developer, owner, and operator of high-performance digital infrastructure, well positioned to meet surging AI demand, right? It's a 15-year base lease term, plus 3 5-year subtenant extension options, annual rent escalator of 3% there, contracted lease payments of $5.5 billion, all right, triple net lease, no ability to terminate for convenience, which is good, and then obviously max development, they're looking at about 9.5 million per megawatt, it looks like. I believe that's million per megawatt of IT load there. And I believe that Amazon is on the hook if it goes above that. I thought I read that here someplace at least. Yeah, right here. De-risked construction. Amazon agrees to cover any construction cost overruns above 9.5 million per megawatt IT. Tenant guarantee applies. So that's good there. So if they do go over that, they at least get that covered there. Black Pearl layout and highlights here. So you can see the layout. Site details, target, rec, ready, completion dates. It looks like they're looking at 35 IT megawatts on September 30th of this year. That's going to be Data Hall 1. Network Hall 1 is going to be September 30th as well, 15 IT. Data Hall 2 looking at October 31st, November 30th for Data Hall 3 there, and December 31st. So it looks like they'll get that all up and running by February 28th. Of next year, so a year out more or less, but a lot of stuff is going to be happening for them, happening in basically the beginning of, no, it's going to be the end of the fourth quarter, end of the third quarter and going into the fourth quarter as well. Okay, so that will definitely help them start bringing some revenue at that point as well. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to point out here. I think that's it. Right, obviously talk about their strategic position for world-class AI HPC data center campus. What else do we have here? I think that's it. I mean, you guys can take a look over all the stuff here, but they need a little bit more cash, which is fine. And then this definitely should put them on the right footing to build out what they need to build out, as long as they can execute on it, which I have no doubts that they won't be able to. So that should be good for them here happening later on this year. I would have loved to have obviously seen a deal for them with somebody else as well. I think that would have been great. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen a deal with any of these companies here, whether it's IREN, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Wolf. Well, Wolf got new sites here, but they're definitely going to be targeting some new tenants there, I'm sure. But any of these guys would love to see deals for them as well on that. Okay, so that's it. That's my take on Cipher here. And lastly, we'll take a look at Cango here really quick. They provided their production update for January, which is kind of short and sweet here. Number of Bitcoin produced was down to 486.35 there. In December, they had 569, so they were down approximately, what is that, roughly 70, roughly, something like that, 60 some, 70 some Bitcoin. Average number of Bitcoin produced per day was down to 16.01 compared to 18.35 in December. The number of Bitcoin held is also down a little bit. They now hold only 7,474. That's down from the 7,528. They actually comment on the reason why, but they sold 550.03 Bitcoins there. Deployed hash rate was still 50. Average operating hash rate was 37. They also go into it here as to why that was. So in January, extreme cold and blizzards across key North American regions caused temporary operational downtime and reduced our average hash rate. However, favorable network difficulty adjustments partially offset these challenges. We're going to be probably seeing that with a lot of these miners that do report. So starting this month, we'll be selectively sell a portion of newly mined Bitcoin to support the expansion of our inference platform and other near-term growth initiatives. This tactical flexibility will allow us to seize new business opportunities and manage our liquidity with greater agility. So I actually like the fact that they're selling, right? Because then they're not diluting as much. It's covering their expenses, hopefully, at least on that side of things that they need to cover, and gives them maybe some cash as well to go into AI and all other things as well. But if we look at their numbers here for Cango right now, right, they're 50 exahash. Their current market cap is about 453 million as it is right now. Their HODL position currently is valued at 570 million. So they're they're not even being valued on the HODL that they have right now. We're seeing that with, well, not only them, but we're also seeing this with Mara as well. Excuse me while I take a sip of my tea here. My throat's starting to get dry. Sorry about that. Had to clear my throat. But yeah, so definitely HODL to market cap, 126%, which is just crazy. Each share of HODL has $1.49 of it. I mean, the stock price is right now, where's the stock price? $1.18. So, I mean, you're not even getting that out of it. So you're in negative territory with the HODL right now as it is. So you might as well sell a portion of it and actually build something from that as well. Bitcoin production here has been coming down ever since they peaked back in August of last year, where they had 663. That's also right around the time when they had a full month of 50 exahash operational, and ever since it's been coming down here as a result of network hash rate increases as well. Revenue up a little bit here in January to 54.05. Did I have that right? Let me see here. January, did they get 54.05 here? I thought that was lower. December was definitely lower. I thought January was going to be lower. Hold on. Did I screw something up here? I might have screwed something up here. No, 54, should have been 45. Well, how the heck did I get 54 million here? Good question there. January. Oh, I did it for, did I do it for the other one? No, 54, that's right, but they only made 45 million here in this one. How did I mess, I did mess that up. So let me see here. They had it 54 million instead of, or 45 million. Instead of 54. 45. Oh, I did it for December here. That's what happened. That's where I screwed up instead of for January here. Okay, I will get this fixed right now. 40. Bear with me while I try to figure this out really quick. 23. Let's just do 23. So that's 45. 22. It's 44. 22.5. 45. Okay, we're a little high. 22.2. Okay, getting much closer. 22.23. 24. It's a little too high. 22. All right, that gets us pretty close. 45.086 to 45.09. Okay, that makes it better there. And then they had 50 million in the prior month, so let's bring that up to 24. 25. 26 days. Okay, we're getting closer. 26.5. 50. Okay, we're getting really close now. Let's add another 2 at that end. 3. Maybe make that a 5. 50. Now we're getting there slowly. Might be a 6 at that point. 479. Okay. Sorry, guys and gals, for my mess up here. but we want to get you guys good data here. Okay, they got us a little bit closer to it as well. And this is kind of what I do. This is what I have to do when I put the data in. It's kind of go through it all and play with the numbers until I get the numbers to match up from what I need based on the machines that they had running. So you kind of get to see the tedious work that I have to go through sometimes to get this close to what I needed to do. All right, I think maybe the 8 will finally do it here. 30, okay, we're right within that. Okay, perfect. All right, so that fixes it. That should fix the chart up top here. There we go. That makes more sense. All right, so obviously revenues came down because of, well, increased hash rate on the network. Also Bitcoin price coming back down, right, during that time frame. So that's kind of where we are right now. Bitcoin HODL, like we talked about, peaked in December. They are down a little bit here from where they were from that, but obviously they sold 550 Bitcoins there. Hash rate flat at 50 exahash. We talked about that. Bitcoin per exahash efficiency down to 9.9. Bitcoin sold value, they sold about 50 million there on that side of things here. Going down to here, institutions and analysts ratings stay the same thing for them at 57 for institutions. Shares actually increased to 37.23 million, and percentage went up to 13.37. We now have 2 strong buy ratings for them, with price targets of $4 for the high, average at $3.50, and the low at $3. And we already talked about obviously their operations here for January. They were operating for about 22.22 days roughly. Given that, okay, they got us to the numbers there, and based on those numbers times 12 months, and using much lower valuations for them based on the revenues because they are so asset light. I'm using like a 15% of net income and 25% net income of that with a PE of 8. I'm in between $1.69 right now to $2.82. They are at $1.77, or sorry, $1.18 right now as it is. So I think they're undervalued. Obviously, some of the analysts have them much higher. In order to get them much higher, we'd probably need to get them probably a higher PE multiple, probably closer to 11, 12, something like that, as far as where the analysts see them as well. But I do have them discounted a little bit there. So that kind of gets us to that. But regardless, they're still way undervalued just for their Bitcoin value. 570 million in Bitcoin value. They're valued at 453 million. That's $100 million off roughly on that. Not to mention they're not accounting for any of the ASICs that they currently have, which is a lot. They have, what do they have? 206,000 of these things by themselves. I mean, if you can still sell them, maybe depending on the miners that they have there, let's just say they can sell them for $800 a piece. I mean, that's, what is it going to be? 206,000 times 800. Let me see if I can do the math here. Let me pull up a calculator on my phone really quick. So you got roughly, let's just say 205,000 machines at that point times 800. Now you get 16.4 million in machines there, roughly. Right, you might be able to get more for them. I don't know, I'm just drawing a number out there, $800 or something like that per machine. So definitely undervalued from where they probably should be. But being asset light obviously doesn't work that well. HODL isn't helping them otherwise either. And we've seen that also with Mara. Right, it's another case for that. But that is it. That's all I got for you. I mean, we'll see how they do going forward. Like I've said before, they need to buy more sites to get more megawatts under control. They need to possibly go into AI as well, which I believe they're trying to get into that as well. And yeah, being Singapore-based, I think they're Singapore-based. I don't think they're Chinese-based. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But that doesn't help either here in the markets, especially in the United States, as it is. Okay. All right, that's it. Let's get into Q&A here. I'll make this available to the Patreon members. The link for that is down in the description. If you want to join, a couple bucks a month, helps me out what I do. Allows me to do this basically, because I don't think my wife would allow me to do this for free. So we are where we are. All right, thank you. Let's get into Q&A here. Let's see what we got going on with questions and comments and everything else. Where are we at with the poll here? Okay, so right now we got 68% of you thinking that we have not bottomed out yet in Bitcoin. Okay. All right, it's not as bad as it was earlier on here. Let's see, Daryl says, bought more IREN, Cleanspark, Bitdeer, and Bitfarms on the dip today. Very nice. Daryl says, looks like we are finally decoupling from Bitcoin. Thank God. Yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about that. When did I talk about that? Sunday? Did we talk about it Sunday? Or I can't remember when we talked. Maybe it was Friday. Okay, John says, agreed. I believe IREN will transition out of Bitcoin to full-blown power and HPC providers, and things will change rapidly, but short-term there will be immense volatility as all other HPCI miners. Yep. Let's see. John says, sorry to see Bitcoin fail. I don't think Bitcoin has failed just yet. I mean, we're down. We've been down before in Bitcoin. We're not knocked out just yet. So we'll see where it goes here with the PMI, maybe helping out as well. We'll see. All right. B82 says the party's about to get going. I'd love to see that. I'm sure all of you would as well. What else we got here? Kamikaze says Bitcoin down, miners up, good sign. I mean, we've kind of seen that last year, right? Miners were up, Bitcoin was down for the year. Saw last month, Bitcoin was down, miners were up actually. What else here? B82 says Bitcoin has round trip since Trump election went. Yeah, it has. Let's see. All right, B82, is Bitcoin US or Bitcoin gold the more useful measurement? If Bitcoin is hedged against inflation, maybe it is gold. Depending who you talk to, I've heard counter arguments for both. I really don't know which way would be best. Let's see. Cleanspark bag holder says, I'm selling my Cleanspark and buying Pokemon cards will perform better. Maybe. My kids are into Pokemon cards as well. What else we hear? All right. Carl says, per your survey, I prefer to assume Bitcoin is not in. Hold funds available until bottom is confirmed, but I sure hope it's in. I think we're all in that boat. Kay here, any thoughts on Bitdeer AI partner, hyperscaler power deal? They have AI build-outs in Ohio, Norway, Washington, Malaysia, and I think Tennessee, multi-billions power deal. I have not heard any details on that. I know they're trying to, or maybe they have, maybe they're in conversations with potential clients there, but we don't know. They haven't reported anything like that. I know that they've been buying GPUs and servers for themselves as well. They're trying to do their own GPU cloud, similar to IREN. Yeah, so I think there could be a lot of upside potential for Bitdeer as well. All right, Genpel, I'm thinking to sell, let me see, it didn't pop up, there we go. I'm thinking to sell Cleanspark and buy IREN 2X long ETF. I don't see good earnings for Cleanspark. Yeah, earnings will not be great for Cleanspark unless they come out with a really good deal with somebody or something like that. Revenue should be down, obviously, from Q3 down to Q4. So, yeah, it shouldn't be good there. As well as the FASB impact on Bitcoin coming down in price over that period as well. That's going to have quite a significant impact on them as well. All right. NG says, hi Seb, thinking if I should be averaging more into Bitfarms. I have 50,000 shares of $2 average. Should I be going in more at these levels? What kind of news and hope can I cling on to? Amazon deal potentially. That's going to be your call there. I did the same thing. I had dollar cost average into Bitfarms for a long period of time from 2022. Was it 2022? Yeah, 2022 all the way through basically last year even. So I've done that to dollar cost average into it. As far as what can we clean for good news for them, obviously a deal for their Washington site and then maybe some sort of announcement of their Panther Creek or Scrubgrass sites, right? Where they can build those things out for somebody or somebody's very interested in those sites. Those are kind of the things that we can hope for there on it. But yeah, getting into Bitfarms, you obviously have a lot more shares than I do. I have only, oh gosh, what is it, around 10,000 shares, I think, something like that, of Bitfarms. So it's definitely a much smaller position than it was just about a year and like 15 months ago. At that point, I started selling off a certain portion of my position there. I sold basically 2/3 of my position in a matter of, I think it was like 2 months or something like that. And I got into Cleanspark and IREN more and Cipher as well at that point. That was only based on the news that they weren't reaching their targets for exahash growth and a lot of changes in the company. I wanted to see how they do going forward. So I held on to it, and then once I saw what was going on later on in 2025, I actually bought in some more at that point. But that's kind of what I did. All right, see, KH, what's your new price value of Cleanspark since Bitcoin has so much lower price now, and when do you see Cleanspark going back to 25 in 2026? They've been running more so on obviously AI potential than on Bitcoin, which is a good thing. They haven't run as nicely as some of the other ones, but they're at least in the green here over last year, and even in January they were in the green, so that was actually a good sign there. As far as where do I see the current, I still think they should be valued much higher from where they are right now. Yes, Bitcoin prices come down here. We'll probably get an updated number on them when they report their quarterly results here. Or not quarterly results, their production updates for January, how much revenue they came in here. But from December, let me see, where am I looking at here? December, they generated, what was it, 55 million. I'm guessing they will generate somewhere around 45 million or something like that. So that's definitely taking a hit there. We could see them, I could see, let me take that minus 10 million. Let's just do that, 10 million. It's 10, that's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million. I could still see them somewhere between like $19 and $28 at that point, if that was the case. That's just with Bitcoin mining itself, not including any AI potential that they have there for their sites in Atlanta or near Atlanta, Georgia as well, and the site that they bought up in Texas here, or other sites potentially. So if they get a good deal on something like that, we could definitely see them going up even much higher from just my thoughts here. Right, analysts have them at $30 to, here, you guys can take a look at this. Where's it? That one? You guys can see this. Analysts have them at $30 for the high, $14 on the low, right? So if you look at the average, they should be around $23, and they're still way below that as it is right now. Now, when will they get back to like $25 this year? I think it's going to depend on a deal. If they get a deal with somebody for one of their sites or multiple sites, the stock should run at that point, and we could go even higher than $25 at that point, I would think. Okay, let's go back here. All right. Sorry, I'm reading the comments here. Adam asks, have you listened to Ben Cohen recently? He sees the market crash along with Bitcoin most likely in early fourth quarter this year if Bitcoin is 50,000 and the stock market is down overall 15%. Fourth quarter, that's obviously going to be probably after the midterms, right? Could we have a crash at that point? I don't know. I think the impact of AI and everything else is going to keep things booming, I think. We're obviously seeing a lot of spending right now because of that build out and everything else, and money's flowing into that like crazy. You're going to see possibly robots coming out as well. I think there's going to be a huge change there. If we do have a dip, it might be in the fourth quarter, I would think. But I don't know if we're going to have a 15% correction overall. I mean, the markets can go down 15% and have just a regular correction at any point. I don't know if it would be completely over at that point, right? But fourth quarter, I could see that possibly, because you also have the end of the year happening at that point. Depending on also who wins the midterms, right? That could sway markets one way or the other. So a lot of things happening at that point. Let's see. Benny says, Cipher will get another deal soon, very soon. I am thinking end of March. Okay, that would be great. All right, Carl asks, said, we talk about miners decoupling, but miners didn't start crash until 2 months after Bitcoin began its crash in 21. Just being cautious. But that was based on just Bitcoin mining, right? And actually, the miners, I think, I don't know if they actually started crashing before that. In 2021, actually, you had the miners crash in, was it April, March, when Bitcoin peaked the first time around 63,000 and then fell down. And then we went back up to 69,000. The only one that actually went up after that was Mara, I think, to a new all-time high. But everybody else at that point kind of was flat or actually going down already at that point. Michael, so much selling. Yep. Genpal question, do you see the Bitfarms announcing deal this quarter? I would be honestly surprised if they did. Historically, and then we don't have a long history to go by, but the last 2 years or so, we've seen that it takes about a year to get a deal, especially when the companies start talking about getting into AI. It's taken on average around a year before we start seeing a deal there. So I think the only one that has done that faster was, I think, maybe TeraWolf, I think. They came out there going into AI, and I think within like 9 months they got a deal or something like that. But it was still within close to a year. Aaron, what 3 miners are you looking at adding at these prices, sub? Well, the prices are not that low on these guys. Yes, they're down from where they were obviously 3 months ago or so, but they're not below my averages right now. So I'm having a hard time getting more into them. I think if they dip some more, I would probably buy in at that point. But the ones I'd be getting into would be IREN, Cipher. You could also look into, obviously, BitDeer, TeraWolf, also Hut, Cleanspark, Bitfarms. Pretty much anybody and their uncle that has any AI ambitions and is doing the right things there. So I think there's quite a few companies that can definitely benefit from this, and they have already. So if they continue to get more deals, it'll be based on that. That's just kind of my take on it. But yeah, I mean, the ones that I like the most is IREN, obviously, Cipher, and Cleanspark. I think those are the ones that I like the most. Will they perform the best? IREN has so far. Cipher has done very well also. Cleanspark has been kind of lagging here the last year, but it's still up in the green for me. So, and with their past performance of building out their Bitcoin mining sites, I think they will execute well on the AI side of things. I think they're hungry. They're wanting to prove themselves as well. So I'm not cutting them out yet. Bitfarms obviously is another story there. They struggled the past couple of years, but it's because they had issues with the board there, change in management as well, change in CEOs, and I think Ben's doing the right things going forward. We just need to be proven that they can execute on what they want to do. That's basically them. Okay, okie dokie, and then we'll call it a day. Cut up to all your guys' questions here. We'll see how tomorrow plays out. Tomorrow's Wednesday, middle of the week. We got one more day until Cleanspark and IREN report their quarterly results. We'll obviously talk about it at that point, cover it, and see what comes of it. I'll try to listen to the conference calls. I don't know if I will be able to, but I'll try. If anything, I'll try to listen to it later on in when I can, but I'll try to listen to it before I go live here for you guys. We'll see what they have to say. All right, that's it. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Until then, have a good night. Bye.